Hey crafters, how's everyone doing today? It's Saturday and that means I am in my happy place. I am in my craft room and I'm just making sure I'm live and then I will start. Yes, I am. Okay, perfect. So today I'm not going to show how to make a card. We're actually going to learn what embossing powder is and ways that it could be used. So what I have in front of me, this is the core catalog, and this runs through the end of August. And then we're going to get a new catalog. So exciting. But if you open up to page 77, you'll see we have our heat embossing page. So here's our embossing powders that we have available: clear, silver, white, and gold. I use clear 95% of the time. I love to use clear embossing powder, and we're going to do lots of different examples today. I'm also going to show you how to use embossing pens. We're going to use Versamark ink pad. I'm going to use an anti-static pouch and then a heat tool. So I want to first tell you that I'm going to have a promotion today. So starting today, which is April 17th through April 31st, if you purchase our heat tool, you will be able to choose for free the anti-static pouch or a set of embossing pens. But to take advantage of this exclusive promotion only through me, I have to place your order. So you can just email your order to craftydivausa@gmail.com and I will contact you and we will place an order for you. And it can include other products, but to be able to take advantage of getting the anti-static pouch or a set of embossing pens free with the purchase of a heat tool, I have to place it because it's my exclusive promotion. So I'm going to get the book out of the way. And I'm also going to go over some tricks that I do. So what I have on my desk is you need a heat tool. Okay, so this is an old heat tool that I have in my stash that's actually pretty much on its last leg. I've had it for many, many years. So I did purchase the Close to My Heart heat tool. So I'm excited for when I get that. Now, this is something my mother recommended to me, and it is a really great thing. So this is a cheese board from the dollar store. So just a plain old cheese board from the dollar store, and I have some binder clips on it. Because when you're doing heat embossing, if you're holding a small piece of paper, your fingers could burn. So you want to just clip your paper on here. You can hold it on your cheese board, and I'll show you with that, using that as well. So a few things I have: anti-static pouch, Versamark, distress oxide, because you can also emboss with distress oxide. And then I have some pigment inks. So our regular ink pads are not for embossing. So you want to make sure when you emboss, you're using a pigment ink or a distressed oxide ink or Versamark. So I'm going to try to explain this and show some demos. So colored pigment inks, you would want to use clear embossing powder, okay? Distressed oxide, which are colored, you'd also want to use clear embossing powder. But if you used Versamark, which basically is like a watermark, it's a clear stamped image, you can use colored embossing powder, okay? I also have, what else do I have? So I have some acrylic blocks with some stamps already I put on there to show you how they look different. So I do have, this is the Today stamp. This is from which is back, and it's on our Stamptacular promotion for the month of April, Let's Stay Home. So I'm using this Today stamp because it's nice and thick, because I want to show you how it looks embossed on a thick stamp. Then I also have Happy Birthday, which is this stamp right, it's your birthday, which is this stamp right here. And this comes out of Birthday Greetings. And then I also have an image, and this is from our Serenity stamp and thin cut, which is that image right there, because I want to show you how it looks when you emboss an image. So I do have that. I have my stamp chamois to clean my stamps. I have my clear embossing powder. I also have some silver embossing powder. I have a set of embossing pens, which we're going to use. I have my ink blending tool. And I also have a nice firm paintbrush because I use this to clean off any little excess before I heat it. What else? I have tweezers because I'm also going to show you how you could heat emboss our wooden embellishments so that you can customize them to make them whatever color you want. So first, let me just show you before we get into it. I just want to show you a few examples of some recent things that I've made. So you see this stamp, I used the Just a Note. As I turn it, you see the reflection, it looks shiny. So when you heat emboss, this gives a raised feel and it actually looks almost like enamel. Okay, so that's heat embossing a sentiment. Then on this card right here, which is a sneak peek, this comes out next month. This is our Stars and Sparklers card making workshop. Amazing. I put this together. I love it. And what's great about this is we do some heat embossing. So you can see here on the balloons, they're stamped, but then they're stamped over, and that was using Versamark ink and then sprinkled with silver embossing powder. And just look at those super cute balloons. Okay, so that's heat embossing. And then on this layout that I created, you'll see here this Forever wooden embellishment. So this was wooden and I customized it the same color as my cardstock. Actually, I went a shade darker with my cardstock and you can see, so this has a little bit of a shiny, almost like enamel. And I also did that to this little flower here. And then on this side of the layout, I also used a wooden embellishment and made it pink there. And then just playing around, this was just a wooden heart. And then you can see that it's shiny. So you can really customize, and embossing definitely goes a long way. So let me clean up all this out of my way and we will get to playing. I'm going to sit down and get started. So first what we're going to do is we're just going to do, let's do embossing with pigment inks. So I am going to, I need a stamp, little foam, whoops. This is that, what it looks like cut out and just stamped. So I need my little foam square here so I can stamp on. And I do have some pieces of scratch paper. So I am going to do the Today stamp. So this is a nice thick stamp. We're going to stamp this on, we'll do it on this colored paper right here. I'm going to use black pigment ink. And I'm going to, actually, I don't think I used this stamp yet. So for the first time that you use our stamps, the best thing to do is season them. So make sure you always season your stamp. Okay, so I'm going to get my stamp nice and juicy. I always like to look at my stamp, and then if I get anything around the block, I take that off. So pigment ink is a very juicy type of ink. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that. All right, and one thing I'm missing here is very important. I like to use coffee filters. Okay, so I'm going to dump my embossing powder over this onto a coffee filter so then I could just, I don't waste anything. I can save it. This embossing powder goes a long way. I have had this jar for many, many years. Okay. So there you see, it looks a little dull. And where I use my paintbrush, so if I was, had some excess and I wanted to knock it off before I heated it, if I was using colored, I would just do that. So here's where the cheese board comes into play. So you would then clip this on your cheese board. So now my fingers are out of the way and I'm just going to heat this. So it's going to get a little noisy for a moment, but I will heat it on camera so you can watch. So you'll see as this gets hot, it's going to start to turn. Sorry for the noise. So can you see that? Okay. So now, so do you see today? It has like an enamel look on it. I love clear embossing powder, and it's dry. And if I run over it, it has a raised feel to it. So this is how embossing powder looks on a thick stamp. Okay, so there's one example. So the next, just to show you, we'll just do a happy birthday sentiment. And let's do this in another color. So here's espresso. Actually, I'll do it on white. So this is espresso, pigment ink. And again, well, one thing you always want to make sure, take your stamp chamois. If you do not have a stamp chamois, these things are amazing. And clean your stamp. I always recommend cleaning your stamps as soon as you finish inking with them. So next I'm going to use this It's Your Birthday. I have espresso pigment ink. I'm going to ink it up, get it nice and juicy. Okay, and we're just going to stamp that. So this is to show you, you can use many different colors. Again, I'm going to bring in my coffee filter, which I'm going to dump my, and don't be afraid because I'm going to save all this excess clear embossing powder. And then you can give it like a little tap on the back. There's my embossing powder. Let's pop this on my cheese board again so that my fingers are out of the way of the heat tool. I have my heat tool and I'm just going to heat this, and I'll do it again on camera so you can see the change that it starts to take. Apologize for the noise, guys. So you see it's starting to melt. It's actually melting the embossing powder. There you have it. And like I said, my heat tool is kind of old and it's taken a little longer, but if you purchase a new one, it will work a lot quicker. So there, you see that shine on that one? It's like a raised, super dry. I can feel it. Love embossing. So any pigment ink you can heat emboss with. So again, for anyone just joining, if you missed the beginning of the video, if you purchase our heat tool, you can pick an anti-static pouch or the embossing pens as a free item, but you have to email me or reach out to me because I have to put the order in. Okay, so that's using clear embossing powder. Next, let's do silver embossing powder. Okay, so this is where, since I'm using a color, I would definitely now bring in my anti-static pouch because I don't want any embossing powder to be heated where it's not going to stay. So you use your anti-static pouch, just rub it on your cardstock. And so now I'm going to use this flower here. And this is where I need my silver embossing powder and my Versamark ink. Okay, so Versamark is a clear, it makes a clear watermark. So I am going to stamp up my image with the Versamark, and you're not really going to see anything. You will afterwards. Oopsie. One thing, I want to take my coffee filter, and this is where you save all that clear embossing powder and just put it right back in, and I'll just shake that in my garbage can, make sure all the clear's out of there because now I'm going to use silver. Okay, so you stamp your image. You don't really see anything. It makes like a little watermark. Not sure if you can see that, but I'm now going to take silver embossing powder, bring in my coffee filter, and just dump that. How pretty is that? Now, again, I use a paintbrush. I get a nice tight paintbrush, and if I saw some silver, I might just like flick it out of the way. But that's what's good about making sure that you rub it with your anti-static pouch because nothing will stick. Now I'm going to come in with my heat tool. I'm going to put this on my board again. And let's heat this and watch how nice this comes out. This is beautiful. Look at that. It's got a nice raised feel to it. And then if you just run this through on your die cutting machine, because this stamp set came with thin cuts, this is just beautiful, just like this to put on a card. You wouldn't have to color it or anything. Okay, so same concept with heat embossing, but if you want to use a colored embossing powder, you need to use Versamark ink. Okay, so think of this. I should have pulled out a stencil. I'll actually show you. I can take one out really quick. You can also use stencils. I think I have a small stencil that may do the trick here. Where's that small little stencil I have? Okay, never mind. But here, I could do this. Okay, so now I have one of our stencils just to show you how cool this comes out. So see here the dots, okay? If I wanted to use the dots, and now I'm going to do this really quick, and I don't have anything taped down, but I would just tap my Versamark ink or use an ink blending tool, which would probably be a better idea. But you'll get the idea because you'll see what I'm doing. Okay. Move this out of the way. I'll come in with my silver embossing powder again. Just to show you that you can even do this with stencils, so you can make your own background paper. Okay, I'm not going to get it perfect. This is just for demonstration purposes. So you see, I have all those silver dots there. Now I will pop this on my board and heat this up. There, you get the idea. So now, look at that. How cool is that? So I can make my own background paper or strips of paper. So obviously, you know, my finger smudged here, but let's just say I wanted to die cut a heart or a circle just out of the middle there. Look at, I made my own background paper. How cool is that? So I didn't even pull out stencils. That was just really quick off the cuff. So that was also great to show. Next, what else do we have? Okay, two more things. So we're going to do the embossing pens. I'm going to show you how our embossing pens work. I have a medium and I have a brush tip. So these are really cool. The way I use these is two ways. So I'll show you right here. I was just playing around last night. I don't have great handwriting, especially everything is computerized now, but I just wrote my name real quick and then embossed it. I made a heart. I did a little squiggly there. But if I were, let's just say, let me bring in one of the thick things again. Okay, so say I didn't have a lot, this part of the Y here wasn't filled in. How I use my embossing pens is I would take the brush pen and I would go over this, you know, just stay inside the lines. And then I would go back and dump some more embossing powder on it and then reheat it. And that would fill that in. So that's a good trick for the embossing pens, which I really like. But let's show you these. So this is again, I'm going to use my anti-static because I'm using colored embossing powder with this. You don't want to use clear because this is clear itself. So I'm just going to print my name. So that was the brush one. This is the medium one. And there's a heart. So again, this is like Versamark. It's just a clear stamp. So I'm going to come in again. I'm going to use some silver just to show you how our embossing pens work. Super cool. So if you were making a scrapbook page and you just wanted to put your writing onto it for memories, that would be cool. So now I'm going to use my dollar store cheese board and my heat tool. And you see how it's heating up. I really love working with embossing powders, and when you get the hang of it, you're going to want to emboss a lot, but this is how the pens work. There you go. Hey, Christy. So see, again, that's using the embossing pens where you can customize and emboss. And it's a raised enamel-like feel. Really cool. Okay, last demonstration, we are going to do a wooden embellishment. So this is, you can take any of our wooden embellishments and you can customize them by color. So I will do this since my silver is out. I'm going to use my silver, but I do want to put back some. And you never waste this stuff. So that's why I like to use a coffee filter, and I just dump it back in. Okay. So I will show you, we're going to make two. So we'll do one. Oh no, they're wooden, excuse me. We're going to just do one. We'll do it in pink. Since I have my pink, I have a pink blending tool. So I'm going to move my foam board out of the way. And I'm going to open. Actually, this, I'm going to use the Distress. That's the last one I didn't use. Here's my Distress Oxides. Okay, so I'm going to use this is Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide. So all you do with this is, actually you could use your embossing pen, the brush tip one, and color that in, but you may get a little bit of inky fingers here, but that's okay. So I just ink up my ink blending tool nice and just pat it till I get the color that I'm looking for. So see, now I have a pink arrow. Maybe I don't want a wooden one on my card or my scrapbook layout. Okay, that's pretty good. Just give it a nice ink. And for this, I would use my tweezer just to kind of hold it in place. And I'm going to come in with my, oh, you know what? I need the clear embossing for this one because I did color. Okay, I'm just going to dump this right in my clear embossing powder. So you see it kind of got dull. Whoops. And I am going to come in with my heat tool and just hold it down so it doesn't fly away. And hopefully you can see that changing over on camera. So now I have a customized color. And you see that shine to it? Yeah, Christy, you can do lots of things with embossing. It is really fun. I love doing this. And there you have it. That was originally wood. And now I just customized it. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at craftydivausa@gmail.com. You can comment here on Facebook. And like I said, a promotion that I'm having starting today through the 31st. Let me grab my book. On page 77, here's all of our embossing products. And if you purchase our heat tool, I will give you either the anti-static pouch or the embossing ink pens for free, but I have to place that order for you, so for you to be able to take advantage of it. And we do have embossing powders, and these are only $6, $5.95, and these embossing powders are big and they are going to last for years. So we have clear, silver, white, and gold. And then of course you need your Versamark, and then our inks. Don't mind this is all the inks that I have, but if you look on page 98 and 99, this lists all of our colors and shades. As long as it has a, as you see here, pigment pad, then that comes in the pigment, and that's what you use clear embossing for. Versamark is used for colored embossing powder. Pigment stamp pads or distressed oxides are used with clear embossing powder. So I hope you like this tutorial and technique and my little tips and tricks that I do. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.